When someone calls me and says I have edema problems, not being able to see their foot, my question is your foot looking twice the normal size, or does it look like it's 3 times the normal size?
Well, welcome to another episode of the Feel the Different podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Perry, and as usual, I have the owner and founder and CEO of DT Footwear, Ron Heinlein. Welcome, Ron.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I deeply appreciate it.
Today, we're going to talk about extreme edema. Now, people that are going to be watching this video are already familiar with what edema is, but I'd like to start off with how do we qualify moderate edema per se from extreme edema?
Okay, very simple. A normal edema is a little bit of swelling in the instep, a little bit, and the instep is the top of your foot, and a little bit of swelling, a little bit over the ankle. When someone calls me and says I have edema problems, not being able to see their foot, my question is your foot looking twice the normal size? Or does it look like it's 3 times the normal size? Or I even asked a fourth question, do you see his toes or her toes? Are they so swollen up in the instep around the toe area that doesn't even look like he's got toes, they got a stub? Those are indications for me. Double normally means that, we can probably put you in a 10E with, or single, single. A double means normally a 14, and definitely if we can't see the toes, that they all blend together, you're a 14 for sure. Or another way I tell people, if you measure the ball width and you're at a 5, you're definitely at a 10. If you're at a 5.5 plus inches, you're at a 14. So those are the indications of the different stages. And just to say, normal edema, a 9E can work, but everybody thinks that from a 6E to a 9E and they got double, we'll call it a double edema, they're going to have to go past that. 9Es normally don't. They can't even get their little toe in there because we've got to have a deeper height of the instep, or as we show here on this particular shoe, I've got to have it higher and deeper because that edema doesn't allow their foot to go down. 10E and a 14E allows that, and we'll show you that in just a few minutes.
Okay. So when you're talking about that instep, it's almost like a car windshield. If it's laid back like a sports car, you're going to have a hard time getting a foot underneath that windshield. We need to actually prop that up. So having a shoe that actually angles up quicker through the instep is going to allow more room in there. And I would imagine with the ankle also, if it's angled up, that's also going to open up where the ankle itself is going to sit in that shoe.
And normally a conventional collar, like you see here, and that's what we call a collar on a shoe, will cut into a person who is in the 2-stage, the double stage. And there's one shoe we have that has elastic. In our special orders, we can put elastic around there to offload that. So there's different variations we can do, and that's important to us.
Okay. I want to get back to that. I'm curious because you talked about a lot of people might feel that a 6E, they don't need to go any wider, or they might go from a 6E to a 9E, I think is what you said. And I'm curious, what is the actual dimensional difference between a 6E and a 9E?
There's 1/16 of an inch difference between each width variation. So if you have a 6E and you go to 7E, 1/16. You go to an 8E that we don't do, 2/16. You go to a 9E that we do 3/16.
So it's just under a quarter of an inch, essentially.
Quarter of an inch is the maximum difference. And a quarter inch is not that much. And so people think that, a 6 to a 9 is gigantic. And you get into a tennis shoe because it's on a prefab bottom and has a narrower bottom. And in videos to come, we'll talk about extensions to the bottom and everything. We need to give you, your foot is in a 10E or 14 for a reason. We got to give you the width. And I'll explain this in the shoe in just a second. We got to give you the width, and we got to give you the girth. We got to give you the toe box because you're in that size. We want to fit you. And that's the
Right.
important thing. So
Okay.
normally, if a person's got what I call major edema, a 90 does not work. Someone that just a 60 is a little tight and you need a quarter of an inch more, 90 is perfect. So
Right.
those are
Okay.
things to look at.
So let's talk about fitment then, because the conventional go look at a shoe chart, or I've always been wearing this shoe. I'm assuming as the edema increases and the swelling gets worse, there really isn't a reference point. So how can people find out, especially if they're ordering online, how can they find out what size shoe they should order in both length and width?
Yeah, you go to three-quarters of the way down on our homepage, you'll see a soft tape measure. Okay. Right above it, you'll see a red label that says more additional information. It's called proper sizing technique. Click on that because I want you to see the same video, but I also want you to see the chart, not a chart that you're going to fill out. You're going to tell me inches on the left foot, the right foot. You're going to tell me ball width. You're going to tell me, especially with edema, the circumference of your instep, circumference around your heel. I need that, all that info. Fill out everything. You've got a brace. Tell us, because that's a whole different world too as well. We need to do that. Click that. It'll come to us in the office before the day is over. We will have an answer, what length and what width. We're not going to fit you longer to give you the width. We'll fit you in the proper width to give you from the heel of your foot to the ball width. As you see here, we want to fit your foot in that perfect position of the shoe. So length's important, and then width from that aspect.
Okay. So just to clarify, go to the website, dtfootwear.com, scroll down about three-quarters, you'll see a red box and it'll say sizing chart or sizing form.
Proper sizing
Click on
technique,
that,
more information.
sizing technique, perfect. Within that is a description, but there's also a video that people can watch so they know how to measure their foot with a soft tape measure. And then below that is a form they'll fill out for both the left and right foot. And when it
Right.
comes to extreme edema and swelling, it's important to also include the ankle girth additionally, because you want to make sure you have a shoe that will handle that girth.
Right. And
Earlier, go ahead. I'm sorry.
instep girth too as well. Both of
Okay.
those.
Earlier, you talked about lycra, or you were talking about the shoe collar. So once we get into that extreme swelling, that collar that goes around the heel and the side could actually cause irritation or rubbing. So what is the solution for that? Are there different shoe styles that
Most
somebody
shoes,
can do?
yeah, most shoes don't have it. We have one shoe, 728E in men's, 628E in women's, that has actually elastic around the collar of the shoe. Okay. And what that does, and this shoe has a little bit of it, but this is really, and most collars of the shoe, especially with edema around the ankles, cut in. They cut in right on the collarbone. Our ankle bone,
Right.
excuse me.
Ankle
They
bone.
cut right in
Yeah.
the ankle bone. This allows it. So if your feet swell, and they always swell in the instep and the ankle, men or women, this emulates, spreads out. If you come back down and you do fluctuate with edema, and it depends on how much your water and your body takes, all kinds of different elements, it comes back to a position of a neutral position. This 728 is one of the few shoes in the world that does it. That's why it's one of the best shoes in the world for edema, hammer toes, bunions, corns, anything else from that point. And we've been rated not by us, but by a national magazine as this being one of the best edema shoes in the world.
Okay.
And it works. So that's where the elastic. Now, if you want it in a tennis shoe or something like that, we can do it. We can put elastic around that collar because we are modifying that shoe in our factory, in our sample room.
hmm Okay, great. So people that are interested, maybe they've been experienced problems. One, try out, what was it, the 528 you said?
728E.
728E might be a good solution. Or if you need to, or you don't like the look of that shoe, is go to more of a sneaker looking shoe and you can actually modify it. I'm assuming that comes with an extra price for the
Right.
modification. Okay.
All
Very good.
modifications come
And
in. price.
And you actually have kind of a wider shoe there as an example to kind of show
Right,
people of what to expect. Once we start getting out of moderate swelling into the more extreme swelling, this is what you
right.
can expect.
This is a shoe that's a 14E width that it has our 9702 top. Okay. It has our normal athletic, but let's emphasize two things. First of all, this is an EVA bottom because this 14 is on a 15E bottom. It gives you full extensions. Athletic bottoms cannot because they're a prefab and the widest bottom they come is a 7. And if I put a 14 on a 7, it's like you having a 2 by 4 or 4 by 6 putting your foot on a 2 by 4. We need
Right,
full
right.
extensions. So anybody that I always tell them if they go to 14 or 10E, they're going to get a little deeper toe box of what I call an oblique toe box because it's raised up there and it's a fuller toe box because we got to have them. And they'll say, well, why do you have such a toe like that? I says, why do you have a foot like you do? It's
Right.
not your fault. We just got to mold it to that. And all our tennis shoes in a 10E and a 14E are on an EVA bottom and they're resolable from that point. But I always clarify this. You can't play pickleball, you can't play tennis, you can't play
Sure.
basketball. These are not a bottom made for that. You can go walking all day long in that. You can go to the gym all day long in that. You can do whatever you want to. And again, with all our shoes, we haven't talked about this yet. You have the strongest midsection because I am trying to bend this, and I'm not kidding. I can't bend that midsection. And these are 4 fingers. I usually can take 2 and collapse a normal. I mean, I can't crush this counter.
Hmm.
This is 4 ply, and this is also in our normal shoes or normal widths, I should say. And remember,
Right.
80% of our business is done in mediums and wides and extra wides, or a 2E, a 4E, and a 6E. The
Right.
9s and 10s and the 14s are the wider width. But this is the strongest, a reinforced shank, the strongest midsection. So you go walking in this shoe, you don't have a bilateral movement. You are held straight forward. Has a foreflex, it bends. But the thing is that we don't do it. And in pickleball and anything, it's phenomenal because if you walk 3.5 miles, you put 3.5 miles. You walk in a conventional shoe that I don't have because we don't carry conventional other than a couple pickleball shoes, and that's Case with the New Balance and even Brooks. Brooks is a little better. Is that they have the bilateral movement, and you put 4.5 miles of walking on that shoe, you put actually 6.5 miles or almost double the wear on your
Hmm.
foot. That's the other thing that we help prevent from that point. And then on this, going back to this shoe, here's the insert it comes with. This is our Plastiso that we're well known for, our triple layer, and this is fit for this width. And you get 3 of them free. And there is additional, and if you go to whatever, like say you go 9702 and you want a 14E width, go right to that, and the price will show what it costs for modifications. Now, we have to add, this doesn't have the elastic around there, but it's wide enough that it doesn't irritate. But if you need that, any additional, if you want to change the color, there is additional cost on top of
Right.
that. But
Well, you can
from
get
that
a
point,
fully customized shoe. I think the one thing people need to be aware about with any type of customized shoe, and when we talk about custom, we're not talking about, oh, I want it blue green, which is an option, but it's something
right,
that's not stocked by the factory itself. They have to
right,
physically make it for
change the
you.
color.
Well, change the color, but also, as an example, that shoe is not stocked,
Right,
correct, in that width.
right, right,
So that would be one of those products then that's not returnable, just as an
right,
FYI, simply because it is made to order for the individual.
right.
And it takes a little bit longer because you got to actually fit that individual shoe into the work schedule of the factory.
Right, right. And we do it, and we do a lot of them in our sample room as well, but it takes 4 weeks to make it. We used to fly them in. We can't anymore because of the COVID. So we have to put them on a container. So we say 8 to 10 weeks. And
Right.
anybody that orders it needs to, we explain that to them and everything else like that. And because it's not a stock shoe, we can't return or exchange it. It cannot be returned or exchanged. And that's always understandable. A lot of times I'll take the 728 in a men's that is stock at a 10E and a 14E and say, try those, see if they fit. Then I know, because we use that last, and then we put whatever tennis shoe on top of it. Anything in our 9E section in men's can be converted into a 10E or 14E, and if it doesn't come in a 9E, it can be made in a 9E. Anything in the women's in a 5E, a 7E, or anything in APIS, go back to APIS, could be modified into a 9E, a 10E, or 14E. But like what Ryan said, we can't return or exchange the shoes,
Right.
but we can. I mean, most of the people, I got more guys and more ladies keep reordering shoes because they just can't find them anywhere else.
Right. And that's part of the process of, go to the fitting page and make sure you
Mm-hmm.
measure your foot first, because if we know what the size of the shoe is, then it's pretty easy to figure out what width and length of
Right.
shoe you actually need. And at the end of the day, if this is something you're going to wear every day, part of the slogan for DT Footwear is feel the difference.
Mm-hmm.
It's making sure that your feet are actually healthy, happy, comfortable on a regular basis.
Right. And like I say, with a 728, I tell the guys, hey, just don't wear it out. But if it fits you and you wear it, in the house for a while, fits great, and you want to return it, I have no problem returning it. We'll exchange it for a modification. This is
Right.
one step farther, and the 628 in women's E, it's the same shoe, but women's sizing. And this gives us a chance because that's where we build. That's our foundation. Then we build on top of it, then we know what we do. Then we
Right.
pretty well, I can sleep well at night knowing that I can't guarantee anything, but I know we've got a 95% of chance of that shoe fitting your foot and
Right.
giving you that comfort. But in
Right.
most cases, like I do with men's, especially 728, they keep it because they haven't found a shoe in 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And I
Right.
said, well, that's up to you. That's up to you. But then we know the shoe fits, but you can return it. And I've done that. I've done that a number of times.
Right.
But like I say, most cases. So we do offer a lot of things that a lot of people on the websites don't do.
Right, right. And I think one of the key things here is that if you have any questions or you're not sure about something and you'd like to talk to Ron, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can leave a comment down below on this video. If you go to dtfootwear.com, click on the contact page, there's a phone number. That phone number you can also text if you'd like to, or email. And if you'd like to talk to Ron, just give DT Footwear a call, ask for Ron. He's made himself available pretty much all the time. He even works on weekends and answers the phone. So he'd be more than happy to talk with you to help ensure that you actually are getting the right shoe for the specific need that you have. Because I think the big thing is that when you talk to I'm just going to talk generically to somebody, may it be in person or on the phone about shoes, they have an basic understanding, but Ron, with 40 years plus in the shoe industry, I would imagine you've pretty much seen everything out there.
Yeah, I pretty well have. I mean, I was trained by one of the best orthotists and prosthetists in the world, and we worked with Loma Linda when we were in the Los Angeles area, and we learned a great deal. And so, yes, I've been trained and been for almost everything. And so, I mean, if I don't have the answer, I'm not going to give it to you. And there's times I'll say, look, I think that you might need to see a facility. And I have one particular facility I like to recommend very highly. But now I've been told they're trying to get away from shoes, but we'll still see. We'll help as much as we can.
Like I said earlier, if you got any questions, comments, thoughts, feelings about what we said, we'd love to hear them. Feel free to leave a comment below. If you'd like to talk to Ron directly, just go to dtfootwear.com, go to the contact page, give them a call, text, or email. Until next time, take care.